Welcome to Vegas Circle Podcast with your hosts, Paki and Chris. We are people who are passionate about business, success, and culture, and this is our platform to showcase people in our city who make it happen. On today's podcast, we have the owners of Valhallan Esports, and joining us to discuss establishing an esports training franchise business, we've got Mr. Morris Jackson. We also got NFL player Brandon Parker. So we got the business owners with us, man.
Welcome.
Yeah. For sure.
We're going to jump right in, man. So you guys just had your grand opening, packed house, over 300 people. Mm-hmm. Amazing. I got a chance to join you guys. You guys are doing some things, man, in Vegas, man. It's exciting to be able to see.
Yeah. I know. We're excited. I mean, this was a remarkable opportunity for Brandon and I. Yeah. It's funny because even how we started, I learned very quickly how much of a gamer he was. Okay. And when I was sharing with him exactly what I was looking to do, he was like, "Do you know what games I play?" Like, you know,
Chris.
Yeah, do you know what I do?
Like
I'm like, no, I didn't know that. But yeah, we saw this as a great opportunity to bring something new to Las Vegas, not just in Vegas, but across the U.S. Yeah. And we're excited about where it's going to go.
Yeah, kind of jumping right in. You know, this is one of those things everybody talks about being one of the next big waves. You know, just, esports in general, competitive gaming, as somebody like myself gets a little bit older, can't play basketball, can't get on the sports field, that's where I start transitioning to more video games. What was the writing on the wall for you to make you want to jump into that space? Is it because of that fact of it, or is it personal passion? Like, what made you make that decision?
For me, I would say personal passion. Like you told you, I was a gamer. I've been gaming my whole life, from age 8 all the way up, and I grew up in the era where online gaming didn't come around to about maybe middle school, high school for me. So I still had to go to my friend's house and play games all night with pizza, popcorn, drinks, all the, the fun, nostalgia feeling you get. So, in talking with Morris and my passion and his passion, for being a business owner, I said, how can we recreate that feeling for the next generation? And that's where Valhallan, we found out about Valhallan and what they're doing and, was fully bought in, and we tried to take it and we're trying to expand it.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And you can tell he didn't have an issue in playing the game, right? With his height and his size, like he played professionally. And one thing that I saw too was that it wasn't just a platform for people who didn't play sports. It was for everyone to have a community to connect. But the one thing that we quickly noticed is the fact that there were so many gamers learning to play by themselves or play online. And what was happening, there was a gap in terms of social skills. And so it was like, how do we start to bring all the things that we love about the game of football and the game of baseball and the game of basketball, where you can bring people together to enjoy the connection, the camaraderie, the fun, even the little bit of trash talking that happens every once in a while. Yep. How did you bring that into one facility? And so that's why we ended up building Valhallan.
So talk a little bit about, Valhallan, was it 4 or 5 franchises now? I want to say in Texas, North Carolina. You guys are the first #1 franchise now in Vegas that just opened up.
That is correct.
Right. So correct. 2 states, this will be the 3rd state.
Yep. Right.
So how did this all come about? Like, how did you guys hear about, opening up this kind of franchise?
Yeah, so through some research. So the first thing that ended up happening is I came across an article in Goldman Sachs that talked about how esports was the fastest growing sport in the world ever to exist. And that today is predominantly being played or being organized in countries like Japan, Korea, China. And then I quickly noticed that there was really no installations here in the U.S. to really create this incubator to build out gamers, right? And so, I mean, you have your places like HyperX and Velocity who do a great job at creating an environment where you can go learn how to play, but nothing that created more of an organized structure. And so we came across a company, Valhallan. They launched their first franchise in Cornelius, North Carolina. And of all places, that's where Brandon's from North Carolina.
Yeah.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, that place that he was talking about, the first location, actually about 35 minutes from where we live now and about 35 from where I grew up.
That's what's up. Okay.
It was nice to kind of stumble to the home grounds and take that element and bring it to Vegas.
Yeah,
that's
so it was really serendipitous, right? It was like, okay, well, this is a new franchise. They just launched their first one. It's in his backyard. So we started doing more research, and I loved again the fact that they were looking to bring community to the esports gaming area. And really focus on youth development, almost like if you were to sign up a kid for Little League Baseball, right? It's like, how do you bring them into an environment where they have a team, they have players, they have coaches, and teach them skills that help them elevate themselves and move forward. And then I also saw this television show called Players, and that really got me hooked because I saw how they end up doing that. And again, I started to get excited about it, reviewed the numbers, looked at the P&Ls and realized, okay, this is actually a profitable model too. And it's a model where they don't have all the answers to the puzzle yet, because there's so much to esports outside of just playing games. I mean, you have the streaming content with Twitch and Kick. You also have the, branding piece of it, because once one of these players win a tournament, how much of a brand, just a branding they can create for themselves. And so we just saw all these different levels in terms of how you can educate and bring awareness to the gaming ethos, and we just said, okay, this makes sense for more than one reason, so we decided to do it.
Yeah. And how did you guys actually meet? How did you guys connect to be able to make this happen?
Oh yeah, so his wife, Judith, Judy for short, is actually our realtor. When we first,
okay. Yeah.
I was with the Raiders for 6 years. Unfortunately, got released this year, and she was one of the first realtors to reach out while we were still in Oakland, like 2019, before we knew we were coming. Her and her partner Kathy, they reached out. So me and my wife were like, okay, we know we're going. Let's let's respond so we can get ready for the next move. So, we responded. She helped us find our first home, and we just kept a good, not just business, but friendship relationship over the years. And then, we just ended up keep going to dinner with them, got closer and closer, and this is how we end up in this place.
Morris is like the best networker, man. I swear to God.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
So we met probably, I think, like a year ago now, I think, right?
Yep.
We had at an event. I'll shout out Mario, a mutual friend of ours, but we went to a tech event, and Morris has got a way about him, man, but he knows what he's talking about. So he knows how to really put the vision together. So I said, we were talking about the esports. I'm like, I know this is going to be a home run because he's a visionary. So
thank you. I appreciate
but
that.
that's great, man, that you guys been able to catch. You guys have known each other for a little while then.
Yeah. I would say going on, what, 3 years?
2020? Yeah,
Okay.
3 years now.
Really, they flew out in 2019. Like, we were still in the season, and they flew out in 2019.
Awesome.
And then in 2020, obviously, we met them in person. This is during the pandemic, so it wasn't a whole lot of meeting you could do.
Yeah.
But they still, we just stuck by us the whole time.
That's what's up, yeah.
Now, I will tell you, my wife uses me as eye candy, right? Because I will tell you, she knows nothing about sports. And do not repeat this on air, by the way. But she has gotten better over the years. But she's done a great job at her and her partner both. They own a real estate company here in town called Las Vegas Sports and Entertainment. Awesome. And but again, know very little about sports. So she uses me to come in. She'll build relationships with the wife, and then because of my history in football, I'll end up building relationships with the players. And I would tell you, Brandon and I hit it off from the day one. I mean, he just has. I mean, you'll see through this episode. I mean, he just has a glowing personality. He's ambitious. He's exciting. It's kind of hard not to like him. That's the thing. And so him and I really, we just built a relationship over years. And then out of nowhere, we had dinner one night over at Red Rock. And then that's when we were just talking about different business strategies and what we were working on and what Brandon and them were looking at doing. And then all of a sudden we realized this was a perfect marriage for the both of us.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's kind of an exciting time to get in the space and an exciting market. For me, the one thing you see in Vegas is that it's almost becoming like an esports hub in some sense.
Yeah,
being at, really competitive. It's a good entertainment capital, so I think it just lends itself extremely well to the continued development in that space. But how important was you to be in like this market when you're developing that esports, or was it something just was a byproduct as like an excitement? Just you're already here.
Esports is the fastest growing sport in the world. I think it's a $2.7 billion industry, and it's growing, and it's not going anywhere. I mean, they're starting to. The virtual reality is coming along. The systems keep evolving every time they re-release the system. With their platform. So we knew that this is kind of going to be a big wave, and we just wanted to take our surfboard and get ahead of the big wave, because who doesn't want to come to Vegas, especially if you're doing play? If you're in the air conditioning, so you don't got to worry about the heat. You come game, you win your trophy, you win your winnings, you brag about it, you go to the strip and celebrate, and you kind of repeat in a couple months. And I think the biggest tournament EVO is here every year, right?
Yeah. So I think they have a big space at Luxor, right?
That's the grand stage. So I've been watching EVO for years, so I didn't know it was here. So imagine my excitement. I'm like, oh, that's here. So when they come, it's in our backyard. So when they come, in town to play, they can train with us. I'll get to meet all the heroes I've been watching for years. Hopefully, if we do this thing right.
Yeah. Is this like one of a kind then? So is there, because I didn't hear about it until I knew about Valhallan, right? So is there other kind of competitors that are in this space in Vegas, or is this one of its kind of here?
Well, the way we built it out is, or not, it's not even we, the way David Graham, who's actually the owner of Valhallan, I mean, he started the franchise. And the way he built it out, it is one of a kind. Because it really focuses on the development of gaming. Where a lot of other places you go to, which there are plenty of places here in town where you can actually go, if you're a gamer today, go and actually game. But where do you go learn? Where do you go? Where do you go? Where's this place you go to get taught or to get coached and developed? That's where David Graham built out Valhallan. And that's what I felt. That's why we fell in love with it, is because it wasn't only a place you come and play, it was a place you come and learn. You come and you get mentored and coached. You get your skills get developed. You get an assessment. That way you can see yourself graduate from one level to the next. And then it was a great opportunity for us to even institute team play, where now you get placed on a team. Now you can work side by side with people to help you evolve as a game player yourself. And then you can find yourself as a team entering the tournaments and then watching your team grow and develop. It almost kind of reminded me of, just coaching, because I coached, for many years here in Las Vegas. Okay. And coaching football and coaching baseball and watching these young men and young women just evolve and watching their skills grow. Mm-hmm. And now to be able to do this in a space like esports, which again, whether you're an athlete or you're not an athlete, it's inviting for everyone, right? Mm-hmm. So now there's you don't have to be the tallest or the fastest or the strongest, right? Now you can just come in, and as long as you have that hand-eye coordination, the fast twitch muscles, the fast problem-solving skills, you started to learn it. It's enhancing young players' brains and how they're able to do things at a faster speed than I was able to do. I mean, I spent one day watching my nephew play Fortnite, and just how he was solving for things that he was anticipating. It was impressive, and not the speed he was doing it. It was giving me anxiety. Like it was scaring me. Like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this, right? And so it was great to be able to find something that David Graham has created, and he was the creator of Code Ninja. So he had a franchise.
Funny, very similar. Yeah, you mentioned earlier. Is actually what I was thinking about, was something very similar to that.
Yeah, so he created that whole program with Code Ninja, teaching young kids how to code, and he took some of those same philosophies and same beliefs and brought it into esports. And so when he built that curriculum around it to find a way to help be the incubator to grow gamers, I fell in love with the whole process, and I shared it with Brandon, and he fell in love with it instantaneously. So we realized this is something we have to do. But we didn't decide to do one. We decided to do 50. So it wasn't about...
That's a strong statement.
Yeah.
50.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, so our goal was 50 in 5 years. That's the number.
Wow.
And so
that's exciting.
What states are you guys looking at?
Obviously, North Carolina, I believe Florida. We're probably going to try to crack into Texas. I know that's where some of the original locations were, but talked about Utah as well. Talked about Arizona. That's a good hot spot. We're talking about California because we want to stay on the West too. So, in those states, you can easily drop 50 locations.
Oh, yeah.
Especially California just itself.
This
is the whole world.
You get in Silicon Valley because they like coding and gaming anyway. They go hand in hand. So that's your hot spot right there.
I love the fact that you were talking about like the learning aspect, right? That's what we were talking about on the phone, a couple weeks back. But me being a concerned father, right? So I don't know much about gaming. I know Chris does. I don't play esports or anything, but child predators are huge right now, right? So I have a concern about that. So do you guys help with that aspect of kind of teaching kids what to look for and kind of the buffers, I guess you would say, right? To be able to look for and how to train them on who they're talking to and, what I mean, kind of walking them through that. Can you kind of share for our listeners? Yeah,
so the great thing is that every kid or every young gamer that comes in and learns in our facility, not only are they placed on a team, but they're also provided with a coach. And so that coach really helps not only oversee their growth, their development, but also is there to provide advice as a mentor, right? And so just like how you would with a football coach, baseball coach, or basketball coach, how they just weren't only coaching you for the game. Some of our, I know for me, some of my most inspirational leaders in my life were my coaches. They gave me life skills that I took off the field and helped me develop as a young man, hopefully to a grown man now. Not as grown as Brandon, because he's much taller than me. But it really helped me evolve overall. And so that's what our coaches do today. Our coaches not only help these young players learn how to develop their skills on the sticks, but they also help them identify life skills. And one of the life skills is recognizing some of those social predators. What are certain key words that you need to look out for to know that you're not, you're actually playing with a child predator, right? They start asking you certain questions about your height, your size, and things of that nature. None of that matters when it comes to gaming. So we're able to police that. And by policing that, we're able to help kids be more aware of what kind of conversations they're having with others, what the impacts of that would be. But also the great thing too is how do we involve the parents? Because just because your kids are gaming doesn't mean you need to distance yourself from that. How can you still be involved in that young gamer's life to help them, help your son, help your daughter understand how to make good decisions while they're playing on the stick. So
You bring up a lot of great points. I think it's one of those things that we game. I don't know, Paki doesn't, but I'm sure we all game it all. We get on there, and a lot of that is that trash talking. It's a lot of we've all had the behaviors on there that the people are saying things that are not totally appropriate, and a lot of times parents are just letting their kid go, and they don't know what happens on there. I think me, I've grown up on it, so I know firsthand. I know what to look for with my kids, but for somebody maybe like a Paki where his kids want to play and he doesn't know, he separates from it. And I think having that where you could trust somebody to oversee that process for a parent that doesn't, and their kid's interested in it, it makes it really more accessible to a lot of people that are trying to get into that space and they want to continue to develop, because I would love to have it when I was growing up. Because a lot of people are deterred from that type of behavior.
Absolutely. To
be able to collaborate with your kids is awesome. You know what I
mean?
And you've been telling me for years you need to
pay. Let them do it. Paki's like, no. I was like, I'm like, let them. That's good for them. Like you said, the brain development is very quick with problem solving and processing skills. Like it's very important, I think, in developing a kid. What
Chris brought this to my attention just to educate me is, if you look at a lot of the leaders and owners of the world, they're all gamers. Elon Musk, and I didn't know it until you brought it up. I think it was a couple years back. So for our listeners, man, and these guys are making a lot of money gaming. Some serious money.
Something we need to recognize here too in Nevada, right? You you walk through a casino now, and you see a slot machine. What is it now? It's a video game, right?
I mean, that's a good point.
My wife's favorite game is Willy Wonka, and it's not because of the money she wins. It's because all the experience and the activities is gamified, right? You think about, we have Creech Air Force Base here in Las Vegas, where they build and drive and fly drones across across the country. I won't say other countries. I don't know where they go, but
they go to other countries.
They go everywhere, right? But I mean, but guess what? They're all being controlled by control sticks, right? So you see some of the jobs of the future and where it's going, and how we're teaching the kids the skills of tomorrow. And it's the skills of tomorrow is going to make them your next entrepreneurs, right? Your next Elon Musk, Musk. But they're your next Elon, your next Steve, your next Bill Gates, right? That's that generation where it's not only giving them the skills to be able to do it, but it's teaching them how to problem solve and forward think and find new opportunities and find new ways of developing new things. And so it's just, and also what we notice with a lot of these, gamers who play, like the employees that we hire, they're building their own computers. Like, I'm like, that's insane. And they're teaching us how to build. I know how to lay Cat5 cable now. I can put that on my resume as of today. I can make a Cat5 cable, all that's because amazing. Of what we learn from these young kids today. And I think that's a big opportunity for us as adults, where there's a lot we can learn from our kids, and we can't fight them and pull them away from what's going to help them naturally evolve to what's going to be there for tomorrow. We got to embrace that. And Valhallan is a place where it can be embraced.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I learned a lot of skills from video gaming. Remember the Red Rings of Death on the old Xbox, how to replace heat sinks, over their soldering, learning engineering skills at like 10 years old, trying to figure it out. Because it's important. Like, you learn, and you don't realize how many things you learn from it that can translate into real life, skills that we all have to deal with. So
see, back then the only skill I learned is how to clean my Nintendo. Where you had to blow in it and rub it out.
I did do math as far as gaming, so you looked at the age. That's why you looked at me, because we're the older dudes in the room. Let me ask about pricing, right? Because you guys have different tiers, right? From my understanding, from whether you want to pay monthly, I'm assuming how does that work as far as those three tiers and pricing wise?
So let's see. So you got, let me just start from the top, work bottom. So $299 is your VIP. That's where you get your 4 hours of scrimmage time, your 4 hours of practice time weekly. Or not weekly, but this weekly. Actually, I'm thinking monthly price. Then you get the podcast room. That's we haven't mentioned that yet, but that's my wife Dominique.
I messed up. I didn't check out the podcast room when I was there this past weekend.
That was the hidden gem, man. I think that's kind of what I feel like we have. What sets us apart from like your Velocity or your HyperX is we have something. Not only can they game, but they can tell you about it.
Smart.
Like game for 2 hours and go in there in 2 hours and tell you how they just whooped everybody. So, but
that's a good play, by the way. That's a very good play.
Seriously. So my wife designed that, obviously, and then so you get the parents' night. You get 4 pizza nights with that VIP. Parents' night out is included as well. So Friday night, I think 6 to 10. If I'm not taking on hours. They can drop the kids off and go on a nice date. Who doesn't like some kid-free hours, especially me being the parent. I appreciate those.
I see what y'all do. Y'all are smart, man. Y'all are extremely smart. Get involved.
Just trying to, and then your next level, your mid level is going to be, or the standard membership is going to be your $199. That's your 2 hours. Kind of take everything you get and half it. So you still a lot of time to develop. Still a lot of time to play and stuff. You still get, I think, 1 pizza night in the month. Still get 1 parents' night. So a lot of good stuff still included in that. And it's the social level as well,
social
right?
level, yep.
I seen 2 flyers, so bear with me.
It's $60 every 2 weeks. Yeah.
Thought it was.
Okay.
I was going to say 120 every month, but then I seen a 60 somewhere, so we got
It's not bad pricing though.
No, that's for
just
and
Keep
the
it a
social
babysitter.
Exactly.
And at worst case scenario, that's what the parents, it's babysitting.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario. But obviously we wanted to be more than that. We want to invest in your kids. We want them to see them develop and to be the next generation streamers.
I just paid for soccer this past weekend. I'm understanding.
There you go. Yeah,
It adds up, man.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would you say, just problem solving, right? Because you guys are business guys, right? You're trying to figure this out. What's been like the most significant challenge you've dealt with trying to build this franchise in Vegas? Because I know it's hard, extremely hard to be able to do. So what were some of those roadblocks to be able to share?
Yeah, so I would say finding good help is the most challenging part of doing this.
Well, people don't want to work nowadays.
Yeah.
Is what you're trying to say. So,
it's definitely finding the right people to help you build out your vision is can be challenging. But again, even with what we went through, it forced us to be more involved.
Yeah.
Which in this first one, literally we have our blood and our sweat, almost tears in that place, but we stopped that blood and sweat, which was good,
Very
right? But it's finding good help was one of them. I would say also finding, getting support in terms of just from the community aspect, not in terms of showing up to be there to endorse your idea.
Sure.
But it's more about being there from a licensing perspective. Like you don't realize what a small business owner has to go through when it comes to once you have your dreaming, you're excited. Then you find your building and you're excited. But then now permitting takes 2 months. And now your dream's on pause. And then life happens. And then now all of a sudden your dream can you're distracted from your dream. So I almost think about how often do things like that kind of stops dreamers from stop dreaming and stops entrepreneurs from being entrepreneurs, because you're trying to scale and grow, but sometimes there are these roadblocks. And this is no knock on our city, right? I know our government workers do an amazing job and they're overwhelmed with that. But with technology today, there needs to be better systems and processes put in place where when I want to go get my permit to open up my building or get my taxation license, right? These things should be more automatic, more streamlined. I mean, if I can get an IRS EIN number in a matter of a second, IRS has figured it out.
Yeah.
Like, so if the IRS has figured it out, like, why can't we figure out ways as a small business owner to get the licensing, to get the permits, and to get the things that you need to open up your doors relatively quickly? Because if you can catch me at that exciting moment in my life, then now I'm not only going to be able to start my business, but now I can scale and grow it at a faster pace. And then
I love you saying that,
And I think the final piece too is it's just from a funding aspect. Luckily for us, I've done well for myself throughout my life, and clearly this man has done well for himself throughout his life, right? And we had the means to overcome some of the challenges that we faced, because if we came from a place where we didn't have the means to overcome some of the challenges we faced with finding good help, we might not have had the capital to overcome that. I mean, we had to come out of pocket a little bit more than what we anticipated, because we had to bring in a new team to help us get to our finish line. And so I think about how many small business owners come to the table with a plan. And no matter how well thought out your plan is, there's never, you can never prepare for the unexpected. And sometimes that unexpected challenge comes with a price tag. Well, if you didn't raise or you didn't have enough capital for that, for that unexpected event, then again, how many times have you driven by a business and seen it halfway built out and then stopped?
Yeah.
Well, that's because they faced a challenge they weren't ready for, and they didn't have
Blue.
Found Blue is a perfect example.
Exactly. That's a really big good example.
And it's funny you say that, because we had, I'll say this by the time it's come out, we had Jonathan Johnson come on as the CEO of Plaza. They bought all their furniture from Fountain Blue, which you just tell us on what a recent podcast. So that's amazing, man.
That was great insights.
It's very, and I don't think anybody's mentioned that before, as far as the streamlining, getting permanent and things like that is very frustrating, especially with Vegas or just Nevada in general. Nevada and Delaware being one of the strongest for business owners, right? To be able to come here and to be able to do that. I'm glad you brought that up, because it opens up a lot of communication, which we need to address.
And it needs to be solved for, right? I mean, and you think about the blood and the heartbeat of our country is entrepreneurship, right? I mean, our ability to be able to start a business and be our own bosses and be our own employer, like that's what's great about our country. And there are some states that have this figured out where things can move along a lot faster. But I think we need to find a way to help things move faster here in Nevada, so that way we have more people being inspired to start their own business. But again, it's not just government work, but it's also, again, banks need to show up differently. Right, in terms of financing, being able to finance businesses, right? And I know it's difficult because banks have to mitigate their risk, and they have to make certain they're doing their proper due diligence. And again, when they lend you money, their job is to make certain you're going to pay me back.
Yeah, they got that
right?
ROI. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you going to pay me back, right?
Yeah.
So it's
for real.
Like, again, it's a promissory note, but it's, you're not. I don't want a promise. I want a guarantee.
Yeah.
It should be called guarantee note, not a promissory note, because they want guarantees that you're going to pay me back. But at the end of the day, there still needs to be pathways and strategies and funding opportunities to really help entrepreneurs learn how to get there. And whether it's teaching them how to raise capital from a seed perspective with family and friends, or, moving into learning how to work with banks in terms of sharing, because there are startup friendly banks out there. I know the banks like Silicon Valley Bank, got a bad rap, but you got to, listen, they took a chance and they helped a lot of small businesses build and scale and grow their business. They got
burned a little bit. Yeah.
They got burned a little bit, but there needs to continue to be ways for us to find pathways for true entrepreneurs out there to fund their dreams, because that's what this country's built on.
Yeah. I love you saying that, because I was listening to this, and I don't want to sidetrack it that much, but Kevin Hart, we were talking about comedians earlier, right? And I was listening to him say this today, actually driving over here, he was talking about waiting in line, right? So he was saying this scenario of being a baseball player and saying that they were going to give you $5 million to hit one at bat, right? $5 million, you just got to hit it one time. He said most people, everybody and their mom will be waiting up, right? Waiting around, the line will be around the corner. But the main point he was trying to make was the grit of, let's say you don't hit it the first time, will you go back in that line 5 miles down the road? And he's like, that's where the success kicks in. So you were talking about getting the permits and the adversity and the pivot and all of that. It takes a lot to be a business owner, man. It takes a lot to be able to do this. I mean, we've been doing this for 5 years, and it's a lot of work. You know what I mean? And pivot, we've changed studios, different things, and I love that you're bringing that up, man. So it's great. So.
It's definitely not for the faint of heart, right?
Not at all.
You have to. There has to be a level of resilience, and you got to have this unsurmountable belief in yourself to be able to break through. Every time I think of starting a new business, I always envisioned, there was this picture that I saw probably about 20 years ago of two guys with the pickaxe, digging through dirt. You seen that, right? And you see one guy who is one swing away from striking diamonds, and it stops, right? But then the other guy, he's still digging. And he's literally 5 swings away. But it's, how do you not stop? Because you can realize you're so close to hitting what's possible, and you're going to be thrown curveballs. You're going to be thrown challenges. You're going to be, because trust me, Brandon and I saw it all. Like, you don't understand. There was a point last week where we didn't think it was going to happen. We were looking at each other going, like, I just looked at him saying, I'm sorry.
I think I was talking with you during that period too. You were like, I think we have it on Saturday.
Yeah. So, and then Brandon looked at me and said, you better not go home. You better live here. No, so
at the size of Melissa too. So
but him and I, we were there probably 12, 13 hours a day. And I mean, it's not a blessing. I mean, Brandon got injured. So, but it gave him the time to afford to be there. So he got to see the process, which again, I think came a lot of significant learnings, right? I learned a lot during that process, where I started to see a lot of the pain points that small businesses were going through. But then we both came up with ways to solve for it. And even today, we solve for another problem. It's like every day we're solving for something. And again, that's what we're teaching these gamers, right? These gamers are constantly solving problems and solving them at a fast pace. So we were an example of that, and we're seeing our kids learn how to become amazing problem solvers. So when they want to go out there and be an entrepreneur, whether it's a #1 streamer, a podcaster, whether it's starting their own business, they're now going to learn to every problem there's a solution. The key is, can you stick with it? And can you learn from it? And can you grow from it? And can you be resilient? Yeah.
I wanted to just ask, I'm going to ask you guys 2 separate questions, right? Okay. So I know you wear many hats, right, Morris? But I wanted to talk about an article I read about recently. Hotel industry, obviously being Vegas, right? It's $239 billion revenue industry. You recently just opened up a hotel out of state in Idaho. What was the piece of that, right? Because it's 2% of black folks, just period, that own, and I know you're a disruptor, like we've talked about. It seems like you guys want to get into certain spaces, right? Esports is a big space. Hotel industries, you know, a very stressful space to be able to get to, and an intimidating space to get into. Can you kind of walk us through the process of why you jumped into, let's just say, the hotel first?
Yeah, so I think you hit the nail on the head. It was me being a disruptor. Anytime I see something where it's always been a certain way, it's time for it to be fixed, right? So, you know, I got lucky enough with one of my partners to purchase some land up in Blackfoot, Idaho. I always look for land I always have one thing in mind when I look for land is access to it. And so when I saw this piece of dirt, it was right off the 91 highway. Okay. And at the end of the day, I figured, okay, even if nothing happens there, I can just flip it for a little bit of a profit because it's right next to a highway. Someone's going to want that free highway access. They're going to always want that, right?
Real estate's huge, yeah.
So, I would say fortunately for me, they end up renaming the highway to Yellowstone National Park Highway. Oh wow! And the moment they did that, and unbeknownst to me, it was all a blessing. They renamed the highway. All of a sudden, I saw a great opportunity for us to build a hotel on there, and so I met with a few partners here in Las Vegas. I mean, I think that's the key about one thing I can try to tell any entrepreneur out there is that don't try to conquer the world by yourself. Connect yourself with other entrepreneurs, other forward thinkers, other successful entrepreneurs that are out there because they will open doors and introduce you to things that you may have never dreamed of. So there was a good friend of mine out here named Scott Burdett. So I ended up meeting with him up there by the Silver Knights training arena in Henderson. Went to his office, shared with him, hey, this is what I have. I got this dirt up there in Blackfoot. What do I do with it? He goes, you need to build a hotel. And so he says, let me introduce you to some groups. And so he introduced me to Choice Hotels, made an introduction to IHG, and made an introduction to Wyndham. Oh, wow. And when I called all three of those companies, none of them wasted a second to get on the plane and fly here to meet with me. But the first two who met with me only spoke to me about leasing the land and allowing one of their current hotel owners to build on that dirt. But Wyndham was the only one that looked me in my eye and said, I'm not going to let you lease this to somebody else. I'm going to make you buy it. Now, I was like, no, I just want to lease it and collect on the triple net lease from Wyndham for the next, the next 30 years of my life. Like, I don't want to own a hotel. I'm not trying to run a hotel. And her name was Stacy. And she's like, no, I'm not going to let you give up a tremendous opportunity for yourself. Oh, wow. What a great story. So she ended up showing me the numbers and showing us how much we can make. But then she started playing on my emotions. And so she started showing me statistics on minority ownerships in hotels. And then she showed me that less than 2% of minorities across the United States own hotels today. Then when you back out the minority owners that own multiple hotels, that number shrinks. Yeah. And then she showed me the numbers for number of African American who owned hotels, and that just made me upset. And then so she got me in the right place. I'm like, okay, I'm changing that. So it gave me an opportunity. After she said, once you get this first one, I promise you're gonna want another one. I'm like, no, I won't. I don't want another one. Yeah. And the moment I signed that contract and we broke ground up in the Blackfoot, it didn't take me but 30 days later, I wanted my next one. I want another one now. Another one.
You're looking at Vegas now, or is that an opportunity for you down the road?
There's definitely some opportunities for us here in Las Vegas. I would say Wyndham has become an amazing partner of ours. I got to say, they're not just a franchise owner; they're partners. Yeah. Not only did they provide us with a lot of benefits for being minority owners, but they also provided us with tremendous opportunities. 'Cause I would tell you, Wyndham doesn't approve everyone. I mean, you have to go through a rigorous application process, and they hand select every single one of their owners. And so it was actually it was a proud moment for us to even be selected by them.
That's awesome.
And the moment that we got this first one going, they brought to us another opportunity that we're looking at here in Las Vegas. And if all goes well, hopefully in the next year we should be announcing a huge groundbreaking ceremony again. Good stuff, and with that one, we're going to probably want 3,000 people to show up.
That's what's up, man. Y'all killing it, man. That's a great perspective on that. I got to ask you about Super Bowl. You being at NFL, how do you feel about the Super Bowl being in Allegiant Stadium coming up?
Oh, I can't wait, man. unfortunately, I'm not with the Raiders, so
Yeah.
I hope my next destination, about 5 weeks or so, I'll get to be,
Will you come back and play? Are you going back to play? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
So
He's going to the Niners. The Niners.
Oh, wow.
He's putting his bid already, man. Which I wouldn't mind. As long as any team that pays me, I'll play for. It's just that simple.
What's up. Okay.
Yeah. So I had a little minor list sprain injury to my foot. As you know, that's like the one that usually takes people out.
Yeah.
Thank goodness it didn't take me out. It was only a grade 2, no surgery. About 8 to 12 weeks recovery. I think this is about week 7 now. So we're well over halfway, and I'm starting to run and jump and stuff. So we're getting there.
Okay.
But it'd be love to come back here.
Okay.
I wanted to be with the silver and black. I did, especially because I live here. So imagine getting to go to the Super Bowl where you don't even have to pay for a flight or a hotel. You just leave your house in 30 minutes. You're there.
Exactly.
So, but either way, wherever I land up, if we just, if we some reason we don't win and don't make it there.
Yeah.
Me and my wife, I think, as you know, NFL players are all entitled to 2 tickets. We're going. We already said we
That's
don't matter
what's up.
who it is. We're going.
Okay.
NFL players are always entitled to 2 tickets to Super Bowl?
Yeah, I believe
I did not know that.
Yeah, if you're on an active roster, you have your rights to 2 tickets. What a lot of people do is they get them and sell them to a friend or sell them to a coworker or something.
Smart, because them tickets is crazy.
Trust me, they can do flip. I've never done it, but you can turn a nice profit with them. But this year we're going. We already said
you have to.
It don't
So
matter.
it's gonna be popular.
Yeah. If we don't get the playoffs or something, we'll go home. But best assured, we'll be back for the Super Bowl.
Awesome.
We're 100% gonna be back.
Good stuff. With us being a business show, you got to leave us one nugget from perspective-wise. What would you tell somebody that wants to build their own business or scared to do that? Obviously, you guys have done it and overcame it. What would you share with them? Each one of you guys.
I think he Morris already hit a lot on it. Is like you said, you cannot anticipate those curveballs, and you cannot let that stop you.
Yeah.
Like you said, we're blessed with the capital that we were able to overcome a lot of the things that were thrown our way. But there's a couple who aren't. So before you really, stick your neck out there with your own capital and, you think you have enough, anticipate about 10, 20, maybe even 30 more over what you think it costs, because those last minute things like permitting, somebody not being the right person for the job, somebody not being the right person on the team, or this goes wrong, or, if you're sharing a building, the next person has this issue which costs you money to fix. You have to be prepared for those things. Like the exact amount they quote you as far as your equipment, your land, your building.
Extra on it.
Yeah, you need to go extra on it. It's kind of like, like buying a house. You don't buy the exact budget. You want to leave a little bit of room in the budget because you're obviously, if you have a wife like mine, she's going to want new furniture. She might want a new car all of a sudden because she has the stuff for game. But,
you stay at my house right now talking. So
yeah, you know what I'm saying. So you just got to prepare for it. You just always build some cushion, whatever, and not just in this business, but wherever in life, always have room for the mistakes because they're going to happen.
Yeah, that's what's up. Good answer, Brandon. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What about you, Morris? Yeah.
I would say for me, it's kind of hard to give one advice, but I would say if I had to give someone one, it's just, stop waiting. I think a lot of times when people have an idea or have a dream or see an opportunity, it's almost like this analysis by paralysis, right? Sometimes you overthink so much of what you want to do or what you should do. And I got to tell you, I felt guilty I was a victim of that for 28 years. I mean, I was in the financial services industry for 28 years and had a great gig doing that for 28 years. But I never, always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I was inspired by my grandfather who owned his own carpet cleaning business in Peoria, Illinois. And I always wanted to be like him, but I was scared to be like him. And I was scared to take that risk. I was scared to take that chance. I always found an excuse as to why I shouldn't do it versus doing the one thing I should have done is believed in myself. And so the moment I started believing in myself and went after what I wanted and just piggybacking on what Brandon said, understanding that the adversities, the challenges, the obstacles, it's just a part of the process and believing it's a part of the process. Just go for it though. And so if I had one advice for every entrepreneur, just go for it. Like just take Nike's quote and just go do it. Like just stop thinking about it. Stop sitting on it. Stop sitting on your idea. Just go do it. And you'll find ways to make it happen if you really believe in what you want to get accomplished.
Love it.
Yeah,
you guys
great
great, both great answers. We always ask, kind of ending it off with restaurants. We always ask our guests about best restaurant for you. Give us a hole in the wall or something, but give us a gem of a restaurant that you like in Vegas.
I'm gonna let him go first. I'm a big. As you will see, I'm big. I eat a lot of food, so it's gonna take me a while to think about that.
Okay.
Go first. You only want me to give you
just one. If you got, just give us one, man.
It's tough.
I got to give you two.
Okay, let's do it.
So the first one I would shout out would be Partage.
Yeah, here's some good stuff, but it's a French restaurant.
It's a French restaurant right there on Spring Mountain and Valley View, I want to say.
Okay.
But it's always ranked like one of the top in Vegas. All these eater lists and stuff, I always see them on there.
Yeah, and they do this whole chef observation experience where you can actually watch the chef prepare your whole meal.
Oh, okay.
That's cool.
If I ask my wife, where do you want to go to eat? She'll say Partage. Like, you got to go to Partage.
Okay, got to check that out.
The second place I would say is Esther's Kitchen.
Esther's bomb. Yeah.
I
like
mean,
Esther's.
and it has to be the original Esther's. I know they opened a new one over there in Tivoli Village.
We went to the one downtown, right? That's the one we went to.
Yeah,
That's the one we went to.
That's the OG Esther's.
I like that one.
I mean, it's just you can't ask for better pasta. I mean, it's fresh, and then what the mozzarella cheese and the spread they get. Oh, it's just
they got a dessert that's off the chain too. I can't remember what the heck that was.
I don't ever make it to dessert. That's the problem.
I just tried it last time when I was going. It was excellent. Yeah, I give you a shot. I'm gonna check that one out, and then Esther's Kitchen that we've been to. So that's great. So
okay.
What about you, Brandon?
Yeah, now I'm ready. Okay. Number one, it's been around for a while. My wife is not a fan, but this is one of my favorite places because, as you know, I'm from North Carolina, so it's hard to find good Southern soul food. The greens and the mac and cheese. Mountain West Eatery. That's
Mountain West
right
Eatery.
there.
Shout out to them. We've been there before.
Yeah. Right.
They got a twist because it's black and Filipino.
Yeah.
So my wife and I, we play with that spot. It's a good place.
For some ribs and lumpia.
Yeah, it's very good. It's got like a nice fusion setup. But it's excellent.
I love the sweet tea. It's first of all, they don't have sweet tea out here regularly. If you know North Carolina, you know the South. That's a staple of the South. So if you have sweet tea, that's already a plus.
Yeah.
And I love the way they do their wings. And not too much breading, just crispy. I love the greens. They got a little vinegar kick to them. That's how I do my greens. I love my greens with a little bit of vinegar.
Okay.
The mac and cheese is amazing. The portions are great.
Okay.
I take my family. They never can finish. Me, I do. They never finish.
Okay.
And then I do want to give you number two, which we all know, which is a popular China Mama, because that's actually
a lot of love on here.
That's actually one of the few places.
That's Jack. Our last guest has said China
That's
Mama.
a staple, man.
Like we haven't been there yet.
Yeah.
And they just renovated. Or they just moved. Or
they have two. They have the Express.
They have the Express, but they just moved to a new location. Yeah, right down the street from their old one.
Even I haven't been to the new one yet, but we went to the Express and they do it the exact same way. So you can't go wrong with either one.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out there. China Mama, Mountain West, and then we talk about Esther's Kitchen, and the other one. I'm sorry, the last one was Partage. Okay.
Yeah.
Got some gems, man.
Yeah. When you go to Partage, ask for Nicholas. And Nick to say Nick. I know Morse, and he'll take good care of you. And then same with China Mama. Ask for Ivy. Ivy's the owner of China
You heard
Mama.
that. So when you see Chris and I pop up,
there you go. Just say I know Morse, and let's see how far that gets you. It might get you a bathroom pass.
They charge us more. Yeah, they charge us more. But that's good stuff, man. What else are you guys finishing strong with 2023? I know you got the franchises coming up, but what would you want to leave us out on that we might have forgot?
Man,
Talk about the purchase we just made.
Oh, right. Sorry. I'm so excited about Vegas. We did buy another location, the original Cornelius location we talked about. We did just buy that.
Congrats, man.
Yes, sir. We bought that, so that's going to be under our probably Wednesday, I believe. It's going to be under our reigns, and also not only that, we already have 5 licenses, I think, before that. That came with 8 licenses as well. So not only do we get the Cornelius, but 8 additional licenses all in the Charlotte area. So I'm talking Valentine. I'm talking Mount Ola. I'm talking. It's really hard because Charlotte's
Chapel Hill,
Greensboro, Winston-Salem, High Point. I mean, we're gonna be. That's gonna be at least 10 in North Carolina alone. Like 8 plus 9 plus 5, 14. So 14. That's 1/5 of the planned franchise that we never.
I ain't playing no games, man.
No. And so it's funny. We've been moving so fast. We might do 50 in 3 years at this pace.
Seriously, wow. And then like you talked about challenges, he learned how to read general contracting stuff. So now he knows how to do it dang near himself. So it's
I'm
gonna
a GC
really
now.
Exactly.
That's what's going to work out. Jackson Contracting is going to be the next business play.
Might be the next business.
So that's excellent, man. Yeah. Well, we appreciate hanging out with us, man. Seriously, man. Y'all dropped a lot of gems and a lot of knowledge. Definitely check us out at thevegasstar.com, and we appreciate you guys checking us out. So
Thanks
for having us. Thanks, Scott.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much, man. Appreciate it.